Chafei with base.
Okay.
We're eating right there.
In the bottom?
Are we down here?
Turn up button. Second line from that.
Yeah, we're with me. Okay.
Don't know about here.
From Chol.
Yeah.
Tell him you're waiting for him.
Should we stop here?
We stopped the 2 lines to the bottom, I believe, yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Did we do the Sukkah party? I'll be the Sukkah party before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Till Tanu Rabban.
Okay, I can review yesterday's real quickly in 2 minutes, but let's go to Gufa. I think that was starting from yesterday, Gufa?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it real fast though. This is a way to get people time to come also. Gufa we learned before, earlier. Omer Rav Barzal Marav, he said, Oval Chayv Chol Mitzvah, the worst B'Torah, and Oval Chayv in all the mitzvahs that are said in the Torah, Chutz B'Tfilin, exception of Tfilin. Sharinamba B'Hen Pe'er, about it, which it says, describes, in the Psukim, it describes Tfilin as Pe'er, glory. Mar continues, Mid Amar Rachmana Yecheskel, since the Torah said to Hashem said to Yecheskel, Pe'er Chachal B'Shalecha, in a prophecy, he told him that his wife's going to be a nifter, but keep the tefillin on your head. In other words, he's telling him, don't do the regular halakha of avelis. We understand. To the mechayeves. You, for whatever reason, because Baruch Hu made an exception, you're chayav in tefillin. But all the other avelim are potter from tefillin. So it's a special halakha for him. I just commented yesterday. It's not my comment. It's his comment. When we learned more on Chav Daled, on Chav Hey, and Aleph, it seemed that the drasha was something else. It seemed because tefillin is called pe'er and glory, and it doesn't not appropriate perhaps for glory to be on a mourner's body, and that was the raya. But Tais explained they work together. That the source really is this what we say over here. And he told him you're going to be an oval, but keep your tefillin on, which means everyone else should keep them off. Now the question: what about other mitzvahs? Should we learn other mitzvahs from there as well? And that the Gemara really answered on Amud Aleph and said, don't learn other mitzvahs from here, because it's only tefillin, because tefillin are glory, and glory don't belong in the body. So really, the two drushes work together. Mahani miyel b'yom rishon, and this is applicable only the first day of Avelis, that he doesn't wear tefillin. The Chsiv, as it says, describing a very sad situation, v'acharisa kiyom mar. The end will be like the bitter day. The bitter day means the day of when someone dies, but there's really 7 days of Avelis. So he says Yom Mar means the most bitter of the days of Shiva. The most bitter of the days of Shiva is the first. So that's the most severe, and that's when it over those words fall. And Oval is obligated to sit in the sukkah. For anything more, pshita. Obviously, you just said before, he's chayv in all mitzvahs except for tefillin, so it's in the sukkah. So the Gemara says, Maldai might have thought, since he said, mitzstar portam in a sukkah, then mitzstar is portam from a sukkah, and hainami mitzstarhu. Well, he's also a star. He's having sar. And we explained yesterday, the Rishonim explained that even though that's not a sukkah-related sar, but what the Rishonim say probably means over here is that it's not anything to do with the sukkah per se, but something that he wants to be left alone. Sitting in the sukkah, he's like forced to be with other people, maybe he's just not in the mood for it. So I would think that he is punished from the sukkah. Kumash Mulan, no. What? Hani mili tzar de mamela. When do we say that tzar is a tour from sukkah? That's only tzar de mamela. So that's something that comes and it's not preventable. It happens, you can't prevent it. The example Rashi gave was too cold the sukkah, too hot the sukkah, the schach smells elsewhere. The Gemara says insects and bugs in the sukkah. But over here, when we're talking about the tzar of his avelis, ihu to come tzar nafshe. He's like, literally means doing it to himself, but I mean, he's not doing it to himself. He has a sad situation. But I mean, it's something what's in his control. He should try to work on calming himself down.
How can a person be novel for sukkahs?
What do you mean? So it had.
The other is mafsik the.
So I one of two things. Either it means on the certain things the dvarim shebitzin are applicable on sukkahs. Dvarim shebitzin are applicable on sukkahs.
Okay.
I think that's the answer.
Thank God.
Yeah. No, my mother was nifter on Hoshana Rabbah Shkia, and I had to go to shul Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah, and then with Shabbos Bereshis, and it was like days. But I mean, I think I don't think I was told not to dance at Simchas Torah, but I had to be in shul. And then just not to.
So
but-
there's only the Mavseki available
What?
if you were sitting first?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Well, Amr Baba Barzal Rav Chosin Voshushbinin V'chol Bnei Chuppah Turman HaSukkah Kol Shiva. A chosin and his good friends and all the wedding party are potter from sukkah all 7 days. Here means all 7 days of Yimei Mishneh. It doesn't mean all days 7 days of sukkahs because you're not supposed to get married on sukkahs or Chol Hamoed either. It means that if you got married before sukkahs and some of the Shev brachas overlapped into sukkahs, so they're potter all 7 days. My time, what's the reason? My answer is shouldn't boil the mech day because they're supposed to rejoice. So when I asked the question, "V'lechte b'sukkah, lechte b'sukkah," so let it do all the sukkah. Have it eat in the sukkah, rejoice in the sukkah, do it all in the sukkah. And my answer in simcha la b'chuppah. The real true simcha we're talking about is at the chuppah. And I explained to you yesterday, chuppah here does not mean the canopy. Chuppah here means that there used to be that when the chassan kala got married, there was a place that was designated for them to spend the first week. And so the ikar simcha is where that designated place is. So you can't say, well, go do it in the sukkah because it's supposed to. The real simcha is in the chuppah. So the Gemara asks, "V'lechte b'sukkah, v'lechte b'chuppah." So they can eat in the sukkah and then go do all the rejoicing in the chuppah area. The Gemara says, "No, ein simcha b'makom suda." Another criteria for sukkah has to be in the chuppah place. The ikar simcha is with the meal together. So the Gemara asks, "V'lechte chuppah b'sukkah." So let the designated area be the sukkah. Let it be one and the same. Have a designated area in the sukkah. So the Gemara answers two things to that. Two answers, I'm sorry. Abaye Mishum Yichud. Abaye said the reason why we don't do that is because of Yichud. Explained yesterday that in the olden days, the sukkahs were made usually on a rooftop, usually in a somewhat secluded area. So if a person, let's say, wants to drop by and visit with the chassan kala, and let's say at the particular time he comes, the chassan's out and it's empty. It's only the kala there. So if it's a secluded area, it could be Yichud. So that's why you can't make everything in the sukkah. Rava Amar Mishum Tsar Chassan. Rava says it because it's tsar for the chassan. Tsar for the chassan means that as much as we say that it was a secluded area, but sukkahs were made of only 3 walls, and there's a certain open to it also. It's open, and at some time he might be alone with her sometimes and intimate, and he's embarrassed if it's accessible to people. So that's why you don't make the chuppah in the sukkah. My binayu. What's the practical difference? Is there a practical difference in the 2 reasons? There are different reasons, obviously, but whereas yes, ikar binayu l'shkiki inshi denafki v'ayla hasam. A difference could be if it's a place that there's a lot of traffic around there. People are going in and out around there. L'manjam misham yichud, the one who's concerned is yichud leka. That would be a problem here because a place that's sort of, I don't want to say a thoroughfare, but it's not on the rooftop anyway. But a place where a lot of people travel, so there's not to walk by. You don't have a problem with yichud because it's out in the open. L'manjam misham tsar chassan ika. But the other reason, because the tsar of the chassan, that can still be a problem because so what? At the end of the day, he's still having tsar because of people that interrupts or disturbs his privacy. Reb Zeir made a comment at the end, I personally, in my situation, he said, I ate in the sukkah, and then I had my meals there, but I did rejoicing in the chuppah area. And my heart was certainly gladdened to call vidna tarti because I was able to do both. I had my sukkah, and I had my simchas chassan and kala, and he did both. That was yesterday's. Today. Well, I'm sorry? Ton Rabbanim. Now, I want to give an introduction to this next couple lines and just tell you the following. Rashi learns that this next brayso that we're bringing is going according to the Man Yomer who does not hold of Oisik b'mitzvah potem mitzvah. We had before the Mishnah, obviously, and the last Mishnah does, and then we had different proofs to it, and why we need both proofs, why one's not enough. Whether it's from Shiftecha Lechtecha, whether it's from Pesach Sheni, but the brayso that we're about to say, according to Rashi, not agrees to him. The brayso we're about to learn, Rashi says, is going to the Man Yamar, a Man Yamar opinion that does not hold of Oisik mitzvah mitzvah. Okay. Having said that, let's see what it says. Turn about it. Chosin v'ashushbinim chol b'nei chuppah, the chosin and his close friends and all the chuppah party, toured minat tefillah, during the Shivas Yemei Mishneh, during the Sheva Brachas days, are potter from davening, uminat tefillin, if we're wearing tefillin, but they have to say Shema. Now, if we forget about Oisik mitzvah potter mitzvah, because Rashi told us this brayso doesn't hold Oisik mitzvah, It's an opinion that doesn't hold that. So why are all these people potter from these things? So each one has its own reason. They're potter from tefillah because tefillah requires concentration, and they were so preoccupied with this that they were not able to concentrate. So even without Oisik part of mitzvah, just it was impossible to concentrate when they were doing all this simcha. Why are they potter from tefillin? So Rashi says because during Shivas Mei Mishneh, there was a high chance that they were either shikr or in a very lightheaded mood, which is not the way one should be wearing tefillin. Why they're obligated to Krishma is because the only amount you need to be Yotze Krishma b'diavad, Kavanah is the first pasuk. I mean, it's supposed to the whole thing. But the only thing that's ma'akiv in Kavanah is the first pasuk. And in other circumstances, to get yourself to concentrate for one pasuk, you can manage. But Mishum de Reb Shila Amru, the name Reb Shila was said, Chasen Potter. On that last point, on the Krishma point, he's the Chasen is Potter, because the Brisa before said the Chasen and all these people are the same halacha. He's the Chasen is Potter, everyone else is Chayev, but the Chasen is Potter. Because he's so preoccupied that he probably can't even guarantee to have the first pasuk be kavanah. So he's accepted from that.
That's just going on Kriya Shema.
On Krishma, yeah. That's just Krishma. Okay. Tanya, we learn the Brisa.
This sounds like it's still Isaac mitzvah, pater mitzvah, because if the only reason is because your chasna is a mitzvah, but for to be a mitzvah, you can't just get drunk and get married and skip Kriya Shema.
That's correct. That's why the Rishonim disagree with Rashi. I could tell you another way to learn the Gemara when we finish. That's the main kasha they have on Rashi. Tanya, we learn the Brisa. Omar Chanani ben Akavya. Chanani ben Akavya says, Koisvei Svarim Tefillin Mezuzos. People who write Sifrei Torah, or they write Tefillin Mezuzos, or Sifrim, Hein v'tagreim v'tagrei tagrehen, they and their merchants, means their salesmen, and their salesmen, I guess it means the wholesaler and the retailer, all the whatever, v'chol ha'oskim b'melecha shemayim, and anyone who's involved in melecha shemayim, in this holy work. And the Gemara says, La suye moichot chelis, that expression of oiskim melecha shemayim specifically here meant to include those people who sell chelis. These people are p'tur min ha-krishma u'min ha-tefillah min ha-tefillin. They're potter from krishma, they're potter from tefillah, they're potter from tefillin, u'mikol mitzvah b'Torah, and they're potter from all the mitzvahs of the Torah, l'kayim divrei Rabbi Yossi HaGlili, to corroborate that which Rabbi Yossi HaGlili says. Rabbi Yossi HaGlili, he used to say, ha'isik b'mitzvah potter min ha-mitzvah. His opinion was, when you're ha'isik in a mitzvah, you're potter from mitzvah. So if you're involved in this, or when you're involved in this, you're potter from all the other mitzvahs, because oisik b'mitzvah potter min ha-mitzvah. Now, when we talk about oisik b'mitzvah potter min ha-mitzvah, I mean, a mitzvah is a mitzvah, whatever mitzvah it is, and you're doing it, you're potter from another mitzvah. I think the reason why these are singled out, that he's a sofer, and all these, this is what the Rishonim sound like, because in these mitzvahs, these things he's doing are not the actual kiyum of the mitzvah. These are to facilitate the mitzvah. He's writing someone's tefillin, or writing someone's mezuzah, or selling him his tchelis. He himself is not actually the mekayim mitzvah. He's facilitating the mitzvah. So that's the chiddush of this brisa. That even though he's not actually oisik in the kiyum ha-mitzvah itself, he's only being oisik in facilitating the mitzvah. That's also included in the p'tur of oisik mitzvah, and that's a big chiddush. That's also included in the p'tur of oisik mitzvah and mitzvah. The Rishonim do say that if the guy can wait, it's not an emergency. Like, he can wait. He have his tefillin. He doesn't need him right away. He has other tefillin to wear in the meantime. Then you should continue your mitzvah. You're not potter min mitzvah. It's only when a situation where you're doing it because he needs you right away. Okay, that's a side point. But the main point I wanted to focus on is just the reason why this Bryce is a chiddush it's a chiddush because I would have thought that this is not the actual kiyum mitzvah. Oisik mitzvah means you're doing the actual mitzvah. Tagrehen literally means merchants. And here's the salesman. There's the sofer who writes it, and there's the tagre, the one he sells it to, and the ones they sell to. I guess the wholesaler, the retailer. I guess that's the two levels.
Here the Gemara holds there's no need of kirda.
I'm sorry. Correct. That's what it sounds like. Tona bottom. Holchei drachim. Those who are traveling, and here it specifically means not for mitzvah, business. Let's say. Holchei drachim. Those who are traveling. b'yoyim, and during the day, if you're traveling on business during the day, turim and a sukkah b'yoyim. So you're potter from sukkah during the day, but chayovim b'layla. But at night, when you're not traveling, you should try to find a sukkah. Ha'olchei drachim b'layla, those who travel on the way for, again, business at night, turim and a sukkah b'layla, they're potter from sukkah at night, they're traveling. Chayovim b'yoyim, but they're chayav during the day. Ha'olchei drachim b'yom u'v'layla, if you're traveling day and night, then turim and a sukkah bein b'yom bein b'layla. Then you are potter from sukkah both day and night. Now the p'tur over here, when you're traveling on business and you're potter from sukkah, if it's day, at night, or both, whatever the case may be. Here, this is potter because of a klal, and klal we mentioned in the beginning, teishvut kein teduru. That you have to sit in the sukkah like you do in your house, meaning to say, if you're at home and you have to take a business trip, you would leave the house, take your trip. So if it's sukkah, so you need to leave for a business trip, it got to be a real serious one because otherwise a Chol Hamoed you shouldn't be going to work. But it has to be something you're allowed to go to work for a Chol Hamoed, obviously, with davar oven, whatever the case may be. So, and that's teishvut kein teduru. Your obligations, your sukkah is like in the house. You act like you would act in your house, and in your house when you're home. If you had a business trip, you would travel. So on sukkah too, if you have to travel, you would travel, and you're potter from sukkah during that time frame. But holchim l'dvar mitzvah. But if you're traveling to dvar mitzvah, turin bein b'yom bein b'layla, then you're potter on your trip. When you're on the trip, whether it's day or night. And the Gemara gives an example. Ki hadar of Chisda of Rav Bar Avuna, about these two rabbis. Ki hava ayla b'shabbat derigla lebei reish kalusa, when they would travel on Shabbat derigla, Shabbos of the Regel, that's otherwise would be known as Shabbos Chol Hamoed, the Shabbos of the Regel. On Shabbos Chol Hamoed, for example, they used to go for Shabbos to visit the Reish Kalusa. Havu gonu araksa the surah. They would sleep on the banks of the Surah River, not in a sukkah. Amri, they said, Anan shluchei mitzvah anan. We're shluchei mitzvah. We're traveling for a mitzvah. Ubtur, and therefore potter from a sukkah. The mitzvah they were doing was what mitzvah? They went to visit the Reish Kalusa, they went to visit the Rebbe, which is a mitzvah on Yontif. And so they were going to travel to Mikayim a mitzvah. That's shluchei mitzvah, like the example of the Mishnah. They're on a mitzvah trip, on a mitzvah mission, a mitzvah trip. So we're on a mitzvah trip, they're potter from sukkah, both by day and by night. Actually, remember Rashi in the beginning when the Mishnah Rashi said right away, even at night when they're traveling? This is where he got it from, probably. Because the Gemara says when you're involved in the trip, you're involved in the trip. So if you're involved in the trip, which they are, then you're potter both by day and by night. When they're on that mission, on that trip, they're potter. Okay, so that's so there's two things here. So we have the traveling before on business, which is not for Dvar Mitzvah. Then there's Teishvah Kein Teduru. When they're traveling, the time when they're traveling, they're potter. When they're not traveling, let's say at night they stop to sleep, or they do the other way around, then they're not potter from the sukkah. But when it comes to Dvar Mitzvah, when they're on Oisig of mitzvah, they're on the mitzvah trip, so then they're potter from sukkah. Sorry?
This lesson.
Gonu slept.
They slept on the banks.
Banks of the Surah River.
How did he tie?
What does Pshat Teishu Kein to do
So,
when you travel?
sorry, what? Sorry again? I don't know.
Go ahead.
I was just asking, Teishu Kein to do when you're traveling. What's Pshat?
Is that when you're traveling? The Teishvah means that your obligation to live in a sukkah
Yeah.
it should be like you would do in your house. So if I was home,
Traveling, then you don't.
if I was home, I would leave my house, right, to go on business trip. So if it's sukkahs, I can leave my sukkah or not be in the sukkah, so I can travel for business. Andy?
I figured it out. Thanks.
Okay, I want to just do one more little piece, if I may. Tana bottom. Shaimrei ha'ir b'yoim. Those who guard the city during the day, that's their job. They're watchmen. They patrol the city during the day. Turin min ha'sukkah b'yoim. They're potter from being in the sukkah during the day. V'chayavim b'layla, but they have to go in the sukkah at night. Shaimrei b'layla, those who guard the city during the night. Turin min ha'sukkah b'layla. They're potter from sitting in the sukkah at night. V'chayavim b'yoim, but they're obligated during the day. Shemra ir bein b'yom bein b'layla. If your beat, your patrol is day and night, from the sukkah bein b'yom b'layla, then you're potter from sukkah both by day and by night. Here again, this is because of Teishvah Kein Teduru. If you were at home, and let's say you have rotation in your city, you have rotation. Mishmar Gvul, I don't know, whatever you do. So if you're at home and you come time to, you had your turn to do the stuff, you would leave the house and go patrol. So if it's Sukkot and it comes your turn to be the watchman, or that's your job, or whatever it is, you leave the Sukkah, because you don't go in the Sukkah, and you patrol the city. Shoimrei Ginus and Pardesim, those who watch or guard gardens or orchards. Beturin bein bayom bein balayla. They're potter both day and night.
Regardless.
Actually, you know, I'm going to stop here. Let's stop here. I think it's a little too much.
Yeah, it goes.
I'm going to stop here. We'll pick it tomorrow. And,
Oh, you stop here?
yeah. Just time to holler.
Okay.
Wow.